Hey, welcome to Bollox Talks and Tangents. It is Thursday at 6:34. We got a lot of stuff going on in the show today.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fun stuff.
Pages, too.
Yeah, you got pages. I got pages over here. I got pages over there. I'm going to drop them down a little bit so you guys can't see them. You think I'm a genius. But Lenny, welcome in. Nice shirt.
Hey, it's my official drinking shirt.
All right.
Or one of them, actually. I got a couple of official drinking shirts,
One
actually.
of your official drinking shirts. Last night I wore a shirt and Blake goes, "Oh, I hope Lenny's not wearing the same shirt."
Yeah, you really need to stay out of my closet there.
Yeah,
I mean, you look good. I got you.
We have some similar shirts, but I don't think we have any of them that are the same.
That'd be impressive, but I
Yeah.
don't think so.
I don't think we do, but we'll find out. In the studio we got Blake Blevins. You are live in there, right, Blake?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. No, conversation, like when you ask a question, that's kind of like key to that because we can't really see you. So
Can you hear me in the studio?
we can hear you.
Okay,
We can hear
good.
you. All right. So today's whiskey of the week
Yeah, baby.
is George Remus. George Remus, and it is he's considered the king of bootleggers.
Menacing looking fellow, isn't he?
Yeah, king of bootleggers. So I have not even had a sip yet.
All right. Cheers.
Let's get this thing on there so it doesn't pop off.
To your
Cheers.
health.
Cheers, guys. It's all right. Not hating on it.
Smooth, nice. Little caramel, a little hot on the end going down, but
Yeah, I
not
was gonna say,
on
it's
the start.
Got a little burn to
Yep,
it.
yep,
Got a little
yep,
burn
yep,
to it.
wait, yep, that's all right.
I wouldn't say it's for a beginner bourbon. So,
Yeah, you got to
beginner
work up
bourbon
to
drinker,
it. Right.
You're going to enjoy it. So for a beginner bourbon drinker, it's probably not for you.
57.1. Yeah, I would think so. That's
It's
good. Yeah.
not for a
and,
beginner. And Blake, you're definitely driving home.
And don't drink this around open flames, please, for your own best interest.
Yeah, but we got to talk about our amazing sponsors who let us do this show every week. I mean, we're going to talk about
Thank you.
history of cartoons and aliens, alien encounters. Is what I did. I don't know what you did as far as aliens.
I did sort of alien exploring infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be interested to see
Interesting
how that goes.
things. Interesting things.
All right, but our sponsors out there are St. Augustine Distillery, the best tour in the country. When you go to Distillery, the tasting tours are amazing. They have City Gate Spirits located right there on Sponsor Row, across from the fort there. Also, right there on Sponsor Row, we have Meehan's Irish Pub, 3 bars in one. Reg, your crew does an amazing job over there.
Food be
Johnny's
good.
Oyster Bar, the food is great. The pub downstairs in the backyard, they usually have some live music on the weekends. They just absolutely crush it. It's an amazing experience for locals and for tourists, and they
Right.
blend together nicely.
They really do. And the porch upstairs is one of the best locations in St. Augustine to sit on that porch.
want a people-
Bay view, Fort View,
Yeah.
and great food brought to your
You want
table.
to yell down at the people on the trains and get them going, get them riled up. That's the spot to be.
And I'm pretty sure this is accurate because I vetted it a couple of times, but there's a phone booth in Meehan's downstairs at the base of the stairs.
Yes.
And in that phone booth is a bighorn sheep.
Okay.
And to the best of my knowledge, and I believe there's a photograph of that situation in the Historical Society's library. I think Teddy Roosevelt was the man who hunted and shot that sheep, and there's a picture of him holding one horn and the other person with him holding the other horn, and that's in the.
They think that you think that's the.
I
sheep.
do. I will vet that
need
further
you to
to
vet
confirm.
that.
I will vet that
That's pretty
further.
cool.
I think so. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And then
All right.
there's ghosts, but we can talk about that on another day.
St. Augustine Pirate Museum, also on Sponsor
Always
Row.
arr.
Just absolutely crushing it. Cindy over there, their entire staff does an amazing job. Pat Croce bringing that museum to St. Augustine, changed that entire area there. They do an incredible job with the Colonial Quarter. Same crew runs all of that. If you haven't been there before, you need to go. You're going.
I'm taking my nephew for his birthday. Brian, if you're listening, happy birthday. The surprise is out of the bag. Absolutely looking forward to that. And if you're a pirate fan at all, the history of pirates and St. Augustine is so intertwined. It's fascinating how much pirate history between Robert Searle and Drake. And they just feasted off of St. Augustine.
No, they did some damage.
Oh, yeah.
But they never got into the fort.
No. Well, actually, the fort was the most of their raids were pre-fort. It was the wooden forts, exactly, and the machinations to get the money from the King of Spain was to build a masonry fort to protect from pirate raids.
Yep.
Actually,
Yep.
It just worked out better against the English.
For sure. All right, River and Fort. Speaking of the fort, River and Fort. This restaurant is just quality food. Great bourbon selection. You want to have a Blanton's, you can have it there. You want to have
horse on top.
Basil,
Basil Hayden, yeah.
Anything you want to have over there. They pretty much have one of the best bourbon lists in town.
I found that if you're a bourbon drinker and you stay with some of the B's, you're doing very well with yourself. Okay. Right. Blanton's, Basil Hayden, Booker's.
Blade and Bow.
Well, there you go. Yeah, right, we'll find that one. That's a new one to me. I'm looking forward to learning that one.
You haven't tried that yet.
No.
All right. Cheshire Custom and Collision. These guys know how to put a car back together. They know how to take an old car and make it brand new again. Give these guys a call. Chris over there, always helping out in the community. Appreciate him being a sponsor with us. Cheshire Custom and Collisions. Also, guys, that I have to say thank you to every single time we do this show. Abare, Kresge and Associates, they're my accountants. They just do an amazing job. They save you money. Even though you think you're spending money, they save you money by you spending money. Yeah. So give them a call. Always help out with our sponsors if you guys don't mind. And hit that share button with us tonight.
And mention Bollox when you get there. Let them know you heard about them from us.
Yes, please do. And hit that share button. We're trying to get this out there a little bit more. If you're catching us here or if you're catching us on YouTube, share with somebody else exactly what you saw. If you like the show. If you don't like the show, still hit the share button.
Right, exactly. You should. We shouldn't be the only one having this much fun.
Oh, and we do have a lot of fun here. Yeah. All right, I have 2 word origins. You have 2 word origins.
I do.
You want to start yours first?
Sure. I'll go with the easy one. Egg on one's face.
Egg in your face.
Right.
He had egg on his face.
Happened to me a couple of times. Which actually goes into my next one, which I learned a different definition of. But egg on one's face, it's basically to be embarrassed after you've either bragged about something, claimed you're going to accomplish something or do something of that nature, and it doesn't happen. I'm going to ace this test. I'm going to knock this ball out of the park, and you either strike out or you fail the test, and you end up with a little egg on your face. Mm-hmm. But to back it up, to see where that originally may have come from, goes back to theater, which is interesting because my second one I found out is actually from Shakespeare, which apparently everything is from Shakespeare.
Yeah. Thousands of words.
Mind-boggling, really.
Yeah.
But in the olden days, if you were going to the theater, it was much like social media today. There was an instant review.
Yes.
Because the audience would bring rotten fruit and rotten things of that nature, and if you sucked, they let you know real quick. And they would take rotten eggs and throw rotten eggs at the performers, and if they were bad, they literally walked out of there with egg on their face.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Wow.
So step up your game, performers, because otherwise, or duck quick.
Oh, luckily we have a couple extra seats in here if people ever come in, but we're going to have to frisk them for eggs.
Absolutely, tomatoes, eggs. Yeah, no, not good. Right. But then you always see the cartoon where that's happening in a comedic show where the performer's on stage and some of them do it intentionally and they bring a sack and they try to catch the lettuce and they try to catch the stuff and they get dinner out of the deal. Yeah.
All right, so my other one, and you said it coming in, I was like, okay, we'll try and use that. But I found several different definitions.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
And it's called the real McCoy. Mm-hmm. So if it's the real McCoy, there's a lot of fakes out there. There's a lot of different things. And it's the real McCoy. Your definition is the one I'm going to go with because it's the one I like the best.
Me too. I think it makes sense.
There was a couple of other ones that dated further, and they thought it was from the Scots, and it was like a screw up on the real McKay, and we're not doing that one. And then there was a black gentleman who invented a lot of things for the railroad, and his name was Elijah McCoy. I always thought it came from the Hatfields and McCoys.
Interesting.
And it didn't at all.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah.
And the one we decided to go with is a famous rum runner during Prohibition, and his name was Bill McCoy. Mm-hmm. And Bill McCoy, his whiskey was called the real McCoy because he never watered it down.
Right.
He never paid off any law enforcement. He never gave money to the gangsters. the mob, and he never paid off any politicians.
Yeah.
So he basically, if you ever watched Boardwalk Empire,
Yes.
he had a character in that Boardwalk Empire that was Bill McCoy was actually in that character in the bootleg that he got his whiskey from came from the real McCoy.
Yep. And this man would, he had his boats and he would bring it in
Still,
offshore.
It's still rum that's for sale.
That's what you
today.
look up, yeah.
We Googled it and it's still rum. So I'm going to have to run down the real McCoy rum and have it in. It's just because of that.
Well, I'm liking that idea. We'll get the dark one.
Yeah. All right. So what's your second?
My
origin?
second one is something that I had a whole different perspective on until I read it, and it was hoist on one's own petard, or hoist by or hoist with his own petard. And
never heard this saying before.
Really?
No.
Oh, I use this all the time, and it's much like egg on face. It's all about it's colloquially now about hubris, but it came from frickin' Shakespeare, like everything else in the world comes from Shakespeare.
Yeah, if you get in a word origin debate, just say it came from Shakespeare. There's about a 60% chance you're right.
I have to agree with you now. And I learned what a petard was, which is actually, I thought a petard was like a belaying club or something on a ship. And I have to figure this out a little bit because I think it may be in a different iteration of some nature. But I always just thought you got hoist on your own petard because you got caught up in a rope in this, doing the thing, and you got hoist. Not even close. Mm-hmm. Not even close. Hoist on one's petard came out of Hamlet.
Okay.
Okay. And Hamlet says it to somebody else that he was hoist on his own petard. Well, then I had to look up
a petard.
Well, I'm going to tell you what a petard is, and you're gonna love the origin of this word. A petard was a small bomb or mine that they would use to breach walls or blow open doors, and it was a little small explosive device. And the expression got extrapolated about he's hoisted on his own petard is basically you blew yourself up, you dummy.
Basically, you dropped the hand grenade.
Pretty much, exactly, right, and didn't get out of the way. But what was interesting is, so I followed back to where the word petard came from.
Okay.
And it came from French, and it was petard, P-E accent grave or sucé. I got to go see an
You're
WC.
totally Dennis Miller in me right now.
W.C. Field movie, accent grave, accent sucé, Egbert Sucé, W.C. Fields. Anyway, hoisting his own petard, which was from Peter, which came from pet, which came from pedere or pedetus in Latin, which basically means to break wind or to fart.
So
yeah, so a petard is a little fart.
If you broke wind enough, you could blow up the door.
Pretty much is where it came from. Yep. So that was it. It's basically an expansion of this. The fowler got caught in his own net, or to beat one at his own weapon, or to basically blow yourself up with your own bomb, you dummy.
Yeah.
And that was getting hoisted on his own petard.
I've done that to myself in bed, let one go and like, whoo, that was a little too strong.
There you go.
A little too strong.
So you just hoisted you. Whoa! So you lifted yourself right out of your chair.
All right. My second one is the word cartoon.
Okay.
All right. Did you
see? I like how you're brokering in today. No.
Yeah. So cartoon is actually is related to caricature. All right.
Okay.
And the word is derived from an Italian word, caricare. All right. And it gets exaggerated. And it actually, the other Italian word is cartone. Right?
Okay.
Which means it basically translates to full-size drawing done on sturdy paper. So it's basically written on a sturdy paper. So it's
I'm liking that, yeah.
Caricature on sturdy paper is the actual definition of what a cartoon is.
I like that. That's good to know. I love learning stuff. No, I
thought you would get that one. I was like, I hope he doesn't bring in the same one I bring in.
Nope.
So, all right. So we're going to start with...
We may as well start with cartoons. I love how we segue.
I can tell you right now, and I'm going to let you guys know right now, aliens, I hope we get to aliens.
He's gone.
But there's so many on the cartoons.
Well, if we have to, we can save aliens for another day.
We might have to do that.
I would just have to take a picture of the table.
Yeah, just
my notes. Nah,
notes.
I wrote it. It's committed to memory.
How many did you have more on the aliens than you did the? I started with
Either way.
I started with the aliens. I think you started with comic strips.
I started with comic strips, yeah, absolutely, because I thought we were doing comic strips and cartoons. So I started with comics. But the aliens, I might have gone in a different direction than you, which is why I say we can hold off on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm good on comics too.
Yeah. All right. So cartoons. What I saw, and a lot of it became very popular. A lot of it came out of like political cartoons.
Right.
And
Thomas Nast.
Yes, and many of those. It looks like the first one that I saw was out of Italy.
Okay.
And it was Substance and Shadow in 1843 in Punch magazine. Did you have that?
Punch magazine?
Yeah.
No, I went to cartoons.
Yeah,
and I went to comics.
The very first satirical cartoon dates to 1843 in Punch magazine. The cartoon called Substance and Shadow, and was created by John Leach.
Oh, so Punch wasn't an Italian magazine.
No, it wasn't an Italian magazine,
gotcha.
but it started with like frescoes and some of those things,
Right?
And it morphed into that. But the first one in print was there.
Okay.
So there was other drawings that were.
Now, was that a political cartoon or was it an illustration?
That was the first satirical cartoon. Was in 1843.
Okay, because I know that there became political cartoons in American presidential races.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Thomas Nast was a noted political cartoonist, if I'm not mistaken. So it was probably about that same time because it was, whether it was Lincoln or it was post-Lincoln, there was a lot of stuff going around in there.
Well, I think there was a lot kind of around even predating Lincoln with Andrew Jackson.
Oh, okay.
So even going back to the 30s, some of the political drawings that were in.
Well, that's
papers.
why I was wondering about the date. Yeah.
But in the magazine, they called it a satirical. A satirical cartoon.
And it's funny because I read 2 newspapers a day and I look at the political cartoons, and one of the papers I read has, on a weekend they'll put up 6 panels of political cartoons, and then they do one daily. And I looked at the one yesterday, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out.
Yep. So, all right, so you did more of the comic strip stuff. Mm-hmm. So where did you pick up on the comic strip? What was it?
I went to most of my personal favorites, which go back, and as I said, I brought in a couple of books that I've had for. I'm old. Over 50 years.
See what we got.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold them up as you talk about them.
And I couldn't find one that I was looking for that was titled "This War Had Such Promise," which was about the Vietnam War.
Yeah, these are
Doonesbury, Gary Trudeau.
Book. Yeah.
Political satire in a cartoon, which brings back to the fact that you brought up, there were newspapers that would put his comic strip on the editorial page along with Mallard Fillmore.
Yeah.
And they would use that as editorial content because it was so political.
Yeah.
But Gary Trudeau was just brilliant. Again,
one of them's called, and I'll read the titles.
Yeah.
Even revolutionaries like chocolate chip cookies. I have no son. And
it's because his son was gay.
The president is a lot smarter than you think. I have no son. Wow, that's
because his son came out.
Yeah, but he didn't mean it.
Well,
but the pension fund was just sitting there, and
gotta love Raoul Duke.
We're not out of the woods yet, and it's a picture of Camp David there.
Yeah. Just great stuff. I mean, he did football. He did George Allen. He did the Vietnam War. He did people coming out. He did just so many things. I mean, he was
well, the thing is his editors allowed him to live on that edge.
Yeah,
it wasn't. You got to give credit to the people that took the risk with him because some of his stuff.
Oh yeah,
was very edgy.
Well, a lot of his strips would get pulled, or censored, or replaced with a repeat. Yeah. And it was fast. He's married to Jane Pauley of Today Show and news fame.
Yeah.
But one interesting story about him was the fact he did a bunch of stuff about one of his characters was a guy by the name of BD, and a very Republican conservative wonderful character who, was America first. He enlisted. He was in the war. He was in Afghanistan, Iraq, Vietnam. He eventually lost a leg in one of those conflicts. So he was able to broker into PTSD. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff he brokered into later in the strips. PTSD, but soldiers coming back. And at one point in time, at one point, John McCain took great offense to the fact that Gary Trudeau called out Bob Dole for referencing his war service, which, I don't know why he would have done that, when Bob Dole was running for president.
Yeah.
And John McCain took offense to that and chastised Gary Trudeau on the Senate floor.
Yeah.
Well, years later, Gary Trudeau wrote a book called The Long Road Home, which was explaining the recovery his character BD had from the amputation of his leg, which was from a war injury. Mm-hmm. You know who wrote the foreword in that book? John McCain. John McCain. What a huge person John McCain was.
Well, and people don't understand, like, Bob Dole, what a war hero he actually was.
Yep.
I mean, he's the guy that was left on the battlefield with an M on his forehead, and then they picked him up later. And what that meant was they would take your own blood, they would give you a morphine shot, they would take your own blood and then write on your forehead an M, which means I've already given this person morphine, so you don't give him an overdose. But he was left on the battlefield unconscious as everyone at the fight's going on around him. I mean, that's where he had that.
Right. Yeah, he lost the use of his arm.
Yeah, he lost the use of his arm, and when he ran for president, it was like completely lost.
Yeah.
It was completely lost. I mean, he was villainized. Yeah. So, but let's move on. Let's stick with the comics because Trudeau was a little more political than where I went.
Yeah.
Okay. When you open the newspaper,
like go back to Calvin and Hobbes.
When you were a kid, you opened the newspaper. What was the first comic strip you read?
Oh, it was always probably Peanuts.
Peanuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and Schultz stored up so much. I mean, how many years after his death did Peanuts continue?
It still is.
It's still going. It still
is.
And he died, 20 years ago?
If not more, yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's one of the longest running strips.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think everybody knows Peanuts. All right. So, from Peanuts, do you know where Pigpen came from?
A dust pile off of second base?
Lord of the Flies.
Ooh. Okay.
Piggy from Lord of the Flies.
Ah, okay.
So, and I'm trying to get to it real quick. I'm failing at the real quick part.
Yeah, but you're not holding it in front of your face. We can still see you.
Yeah, it's not here. So Pigpen was a parody of Piggy from Lord of the Flies.
That I did not know. You learn stuff here.
In his premiere, he said, I haven't forgot a name. People call me things, real insulting things. Piggy.
Wow.
So it came from Lord of the Flies. Blake, did you have to read Lord of the Flies in high school?
Yeah, I did. It was very boring.
I thought it was great. I love Lord of the Flies.
The movie was much better, by the way.
Okay. Really?
All right. But I didn't know. I knew Pigpen.
Right. I'm sure.
I mean, obviously, the names go together, too. But I did not realize that it came from Lord of the Flies.
There's a lot of allegory in a lot of the Charles Schultz stuff. I was a big fan of the show You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Yeah. So, all right. What other?
I actually could have brought in all my Peanuts books I have too because they're little hardcover Peanuts books as well. Yeah. Oh, it's great stuff. Calvin and Hobbes.
Okay.
How can you go wrong with Calvin and Hobbes?
No, it's so good. It was so well written.
And
it was all in his imagination.
Yep. Well, okay. You don't think Hobbes is real?
Hobbes is real to Calvin?
Hobbes is real to me.
Okay.
That is one wise ass tiger who loves tuna.
Yeah.
He loves tuna. Yeah, Calvin and Hobbes for sure. But I started playing around with it and I didn't look to find them, but Gary Larson in The Far Side. Because I started thinking about single panel comics.
That was my go-to. I started when I used to get the newspaper. I don't get the newspaper anymore. Do they still have comics in the newspaper?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Augustine Record every day.
Yeah.
And Newsday.
But it's all syndicated, though. Like they're not producing news stuff, basically.
Oh, no, there's people writing new ones every day.
There are?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I can tell you right now.
Is it AI, though?
Larson is an
I
AI.
don't know if the comic artists are on strike. Just
Everybody
the
else
performers.
seems to be on.
Exactly.
Performers and the writers are on strike.
And please God, not UPS.
Yeah. Amazon. But that was my go-to.
Yeah.
Far Side was my go-to. I thought he was brilliant. So I love the Far Side.
You know,
What was your favorite? Which one sticks out the most to you?
I'll tell you one later, but
Why tell me later? You can tell it on the show.
because my wife will yell at me. I'll tell you.
Okay,
I'll tell,
all right.
I'll tell
I
you
don't want you to
later.
get in trouble with your wife.
Believe me. One of my favorite ones is it's an open refrigerator door, and you look in there, and there's potato salad with 2 6-guns, and it was potato salad gone bad. And he's got bandoliers, and he's holding up the rest of the refrigerator. Potato salad gone bad.
Yeah, mine I think is, and I don't know why it made me crack up so much, and it was so simple. It's like 2 lions over one of their kills, and he goes, "Hey Jimmy, remember that time we laughed so hard the antler came out your nose?" And it's so simple.
You've had milk come out your nose.
Yeah, it's so simple.
There you go.
They're like you're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And some of the best jokes are right there in front of you.
Yep.
And he was able to, and people don't understand, comedians and people that do this are brilliant people because they take what's right in front of you and makes it funny. The rubber chicken or the boneless chicken farm.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, Lenny, just a heads up. Your laughing is peeking into the microphone, so you might be blowing out a lot of people's eardrums.
I'm having too much fun.
That means he's okay.
I apologize for having too much fun. I'm sorry.
We're gonna go with that. Oh, Tim Goss came up with Beetle Bailey. I love.
I read it every day.
Beetle Bailey
Every day.
Is he still on?
He's still on. I don't know. And to Blake's question, I don't know
if they're
syndicated. Repeats or they're new. Well, they're all syndicated now. They all. There's like a cartel that controls the comics. There's 2 or 3 comic syndicates that put them in papers. Like there's one called, and if you want to read them online, because you can read this stuff online, it's Go Comics is one, and then there's another one that I don't know off the top of my head, but they're syndicated in the newspapers and they control it. It used to be King Features, but I don't know if that's anymore.
Yeah, the other one that Far Side that really sticks out with me is the 2 deer standing side by side, and the one deer has like on his chest a target, and the other deer looks at him and goes, "Bummer of a birthmark, Dave." I mean, like I said, it's so simple, but it's brilliant.
And there's one that I remember partially, and I can't remember the whole thing, with an amoeba. And it was, I don't know if it was, hello amoeba. I don't know. I'll find that one too. But guy was just, it was great. And one panel.
Yeah.
One panel. That was it.
But Calvin and Hobbes, going back to your Calvin and Hobbes, just brilliant.
Spiff the Spaceman.
Yeah. So it's just brilliant and
fearless child.
But it was only around like 9 years. So
yep, 85 to 95.
Yeah.
1985 to 1995.
Yeah. So 10 years. All right. The other one that I found out that I saw today, and it makes complete sense, is when they did these cartoons to save the animators. That's part of the reason why they gave them gloves. A lot of them have gloves, so you don't see their hands moving or the movements of their hands as much. So they'd be able to leave the gloves in place. The reason Yogi Bear had a collar is
animators that are drawing the cells.
They had to actually draw, but they wouldn't. They would leave the gloves, so they'd just transpose that portion of it. Okay. So the hands would stay in the gloves, and they wouldn't have to do as much movement with it.
Okay.
So they'd be able to use the same drawing from here down or something like that. They'd only have to change the head. And the other thing that they did is the reason Yogi Bear has a collar is for that same reason. So all he had to do was do his head up here.
His facial expressions.
And it saved on so much time when they actually were doing the drawings. So I never thought of the concept of, he's wearing a glove or he's doing that. But that was purposely done to save the animators. a lot of it.
Because it's. I mean, when you're doing a cartoon, it's cell after cell after cell.
Cell.
After
It's
cell.
constant cells,
Right.
and all this was hand done.
And cells, not cell phones, but cells
Yeah.
transparencies done on celluloid.
Yeah.
I want to believe that's where it came from, but I'm not sure of that. But that makes sense to me because people now have framed cells in their home.
Yeah.
You can buy an original cell from Warner Brothers, from Disney, frame them and hang them up. And just one note on that. Hey, boo boo.
Yeah. Hey, boo boo. Hey, boo boo.
Yep.
All right. I have 2 tattoos that are cartoons.
Oh, I was going to say you have more than 2 tattoos.
I have more than 2 tattoos. I have like 15 tattoos.
Right.
I have more than 2 tattoos. I have two cartoon tattoos, and they're my very first tattoos I got. I got it like I was 22,
How old?
20.
Okay,
I was.
yeah.
I mean, they're 30 years old now, 30 plus years old. All right. You have any idea what cartoon characters I might have on my? This is where I told you would learn something about me today.
Okay. Let's see. If I had a guess for you, I don't know. The Roadrunner?
No, well, close. I have Speedy Gonzalez on
Speedy, okay.
on my right. Well, that's
a Roadrunner.
That's a
Yeah,
Roadrunner.
right.
I have Speedy Gonzalez. Arriba.
Yeah.
All
One
right.
of my favorites as a kid growing up, by the way.
And I have him sliding into a base with his hat falling off and his hands up in the air.
Okay.
All right. When I was
baseball,
when I
right,
was a
sure,
ball player,
sure.
I used
Makes perfect sense.
used to be able to run. All right. And the other tattoo I have has to do with my first name.
Yosemite Sam.
Yep. I have Yosemite Sam holding a baseball bat and a gun on my left thigh.
Nice.
So I have Yosemite Sam and Speedy Gonzalez. Those are my first 2 tattoos.
Would you get
before Blake came around?
No. Would you get canceled for having a Speedy Gonzalez tattoo?
Well, and that's what we're going to talk about because Speedy Gonzalez was banned for a short time on the Cartoon Network because they perceived it as racial insensitivity.
Right.
What brought it back was the Hispanic American Rights Organization said, no, he's one of our heroes. So, but his cousin, Slowpoke, I got to find him.
Sorry, people. Sorry, Blake. It's just too much fun.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, where is it?
At least you're not holding-
Slowpoke Rodriguez.
Okay.
All right. He was so slow. He only appeared in 2 cartoons. All
You
right.
couldn't get from one to the other.
But he is still banned because he wasn't fast enough to get away. So he carried a big gun for protection.
Oh, well.
And now Slowpoke has been completely wiped off the map.
Now, what I will say when I was doing my research on some of this stuff is that I think there's a contemporary Speedy Gonzalez. I think they've re-resurrected him again.
Yeah.
So I think there may be something out there now.
Wow. Tim came up with Rodriguez even before I was able to.
Wow.
That's impressive, Tim.
Impressive.
All right.
Cheers to you, sir.
Cheers. So what other comic strips you got out there?
Oh, well,
You're all
Bloom County.
Oh, we talked about that on Mike's show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good. Happy to hear that. Which ended up having a character that's a takeoff on Garfield.
Okay.
Bill the Cat
Yeah.
and Opus. I mean, and I like a lot of these comics that...
Well, Bill the Cat was pretty frazzled.
Bill the Cat
Garfield.
was exceedingly frazzled.
Garfield was kind of chill.
Right, but Bill the Cat was the anti-Garfield.
Oh, he's the anti. Okay,
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
Oh, no, that was it.
makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, no.
He's
He
not
was a
like
big iron ball of fur.
yeah. He's
that,
not
you know,
lethargic. He's
right.
okay.
He had-
That completely makes sense. I get
2
it.
words in his vocabulary.
Yeah.
ACK and PBBTF with a lot
Yeah.
of spit involved in it.
Yeah.
And that was Bill the Cat, who ran for president with Opus, by the way, and did pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. Opus did okay.
Opus, the flightless penguin.
Yeah.
If only these wings would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bill the Cat was, and Bloom County, again, it was another pointed comic strip. You had the mix of, childish innocence and anthropomorphic animals. And it was really kind of interesting. Boondocks was another similar cartoon with a guy by the name of Aaron Magruder wrote it. And that was an African-American take on childhood innocence or the lack thereof.
Yeah.
But I think, Bloom County was just a hoot. Again, you had a Vietnam War vet, you had a misogynist, Neanderthal.
Oh, they covered.
Oh yeah,
They covered everything.
Yeah. the anxiety closet, the monsters under the bed. Yeah, oh no, little kids didn't sleep well in that cartoon strip. Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you have a monster under your bed when you were a kid?
No, I don't think I did.
I jumped from my door.
Did you?
Door area, light switch, jumped to the bed
No.
for a little bit.
No.
Yeah.
But now, when the house creaks, it was always kind of interesting. But, yeah.
All right.
What else you got?
Most profitable cartoon of all time.
Cartoon, comic strip,
Cartoon.
on TV type cartoon.
Cartoon.
It's got to be Bugs Bunny, I would think.
The Simpsons.
Oh, well, okay. See,
Prior to that, it was the Flintstones. The Flintstones held that title for so many years, and then the Simpsons took over as far as the most profitable.
Yeah.
So
they've been around for. I mean, is it not the longest running show now? Did they lapped Gunsmoke, right?
Yeah, it's long.
See, the problem is I don't knee jerk to think of that immediately as a cartoon. I know it's an animated TV show, but I don't think of it more of as a cartoon. I think of because it's a half an hour. A cartoon was 2 or 3 minutes from Warner Brothers or Bugs Bunny. So it's my misinterpretation of the product.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things that I learned today.
Oh, and who created The Simpsons?
Matt. Say his last name, Blake.
Matt Groening.
Groening.
Good job, Blake.
People were arguing with the enunciation of it.
I was on Team U, not Team Blake. Sorry, Blake. I apologize.
And I knew I wasn't saying it correctly because I read it as groaning.
Yeah.
And it's graining is the way it's enunciated. So I knew it wasn't correct the way I was doing it. Right. So that's why I asked Blake. And Blake nailed it last night and basically shut down 120 people.
Right, he did. He got called on it, and he came back strong.
All right. Couple of things that completely caught me off guard, and I didn't realize this. And we're gonna do a sponsor break after this one because we're well over halfway. Saturday morning cartoons disappeared in the 2000s.
What a shame.
Do you know why? Congress.
Really?
All right.
Meddling fools?
Get this. All right. Saturday morning cartoons vanished in the 2000s largely due to the Children's Television Act, requiring stations to have 3 hours of informational programming per week. So instead of taking it away during the weekdays and stuff like that, they took it away from Saturday morning.
So they blocked it out on a single block.
They started doing educational, like more Sesame Street, those type of things, which aren't terrible.
No.
But it killed the cartoons. Congress, stay the hell off my cartoons.
Pretty much. I'm surprised that the toy industry didn't push back.
I just can't understand. But the whole... I guess the ratings on Saturday mornings don't compare to prime time.
Yeah, but
so that's
I think Nielsen books for children.
Yeah, plus also to be fair, by that point, like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel was already established. So at least,
right.
So it's the cartoons was still out there. It wasn't just on like actual broadcast.
When I was a kid, I'm sure when you were a kid, we woke up on Saturday morning. That
was it.
Yeah, we didn't have school. We woke up to watch the Super Friends.
Watch in front of the TV.
I mean, you bundled up. You ate your cereal. You ate your Frosted Flakes or whatever you had.
Boy, we grew up so differently.
Yeah. What did you have? You had shredded wheat.
Rarely ate cereal. Didn't eat a whole lot of breakfast and didn't.
That's what's wrong with you, sir.
There's a lot wrong with me. You should know that by now.
That's what's wrong with you. You didn't have cereal.
I know.
What did you eat when you were watching the Super Friends?
I don't even know if I ate breakfast when I was a kid then. Maybe, I shouldn't say that. My mother probably made me pancakes and French toast and real food.
When's the last time you made breakfast for yourself?
Today, as a matter of fact.
Okay, you say you don't eat breakfast.
Well, you want to know what time it was?
What time?
1:45.
Oh, it was in the afternoon. Okay.
Breakfast happens way too early unless I'm coming home from something.
What did you cook for yourself for breakfast?
Today I made myself a fried egg and a piece of pepper jack cheese on a toasted onion roll.
There you go.
It's delicious.
I had an egg. Mm-hmm. I cooked an egg, scrambled egg with cinnamon toast and honey sausage. What kind of sausage? Brown sugar and honey sausage.
Okay.
It was really good. Blake picked it out. So
yeah, breakfast is way too early in the morning for me. and I can probably count on one hand the number of breakfasts I eat in 3 months. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah,
I'm a kind of a one meal a day kind of guy.
Okay.
And then snack before bed, which is not good for me.
All right, if you're going to do
sponsors,
yeah, if you're going to do one meal a day, I tell you a great spot to go, and that's River and Fort.
Yeah.
I can tell you they got amazing food, just a great menu. They have 3 different levels there. You can go to the top. You can see the rooftop bar up there is amazing.
Best view in town.
They really do have the best view in town to have a good meal and just enjoy yourself. Great date spot.
Yeah.
Great date spot. All right, great place to meet up with your buddies. You know where that is?
Meehan's?
Exactly it.
Porch is nice. The view at River and Fort from the roof is better, but the comfort level of the porch at Meehan's is right up there.
It gives you that real bar attitude and that real pub.
And it's an Irish bar, so it's they really bring Ireland to you. Mm-hmm. Between half of the menu, the liquor, largest collection of. By the way, we haven't spoken about this in a while, and shame on us. I think they've got one of the largest collections of Irish whiskey in the country by far. Uh-huh. You go to a lot of restaurants and you get a wine list that's 5 or 6 pages. You go to Meehan's, you get a whiskey list of Irish whiskey that's 4 pages long.
Irish cream.
Well, the Irish cream is independent of that too. That's dessert. That's food.
It's
that's
so
great.
amazing there.
Oh my goodness,
so amazing there. All right, another place if you're not into the Irish cream, the Irish whiskey there. Check out St. Augustine Distillery and City Gate Spirits. Amazing, right there on that same row. Go check those guys out. They have some of the best tasting tours around. Mm-hmm. If you haven't stopped into either one of those, make sure you make that stop and check them out.
A lot of fun stuff in City Gates too. A lot of fun stuff there. Yeah.
Really cool flavors. Yep. They've done some very unique things. Yeah. All right. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, over 800 artifacts, original artifacts. I really want to get your review when you come back.
So I'm hoping we'll go on Monday, because I don't think we should go on the weekend.
Yeah, no. Chesire Custom and Collisions. These are the guys. They have state-of-the-art paint booth. They can get your car back to new. You have those little fender benders. These guys are the guys to go see. Give Chris a call over there at Cheshire Custom and Collisions. Abare, Kresge and Associates, just the best. They're the best accountants in town. CPAs, they can help you start a business. You're starting a new business. They can set up your LLC. Right. They can kind of help you get through the taxes of it. If you're a new business owner, you need to have an accountant take care of you.
And there's something you say to that, because I've been reading in the last 2 or 3 days, I'm not a big fan of using like a TurboTax product or something like that. And there are online tax things that are there. But it seems that in the last couple of days, a couple of tax purveyors, and I guarantee you not Abare, Kresge and Associates, got hacked or released information to Meta and Google.
Yep.
And they gave people's, nothing like,
they're true professionals.
Yeah, so these guys
protect
are the
your
people
information.
Absolutely.
And they're going to get you to where you need to be.
Yep.
All right. We're staying with cartoons.
I think we should.
I'm not going away from it.
I would say look at it this way, because we're ready for next week, but you're on your own.
Yeah. So
wait, for $12, I'll give you my notes. You won't be able to read them, but I'll give you my notes.
I guarantee your handwriting's better than his.
Yeah, I think that's definitely much better.
I'm so sorry for you.
All right. My favorite all-time cartoon is Tom and Jerry.
Okay.
His brother still loves Tom and Jerry to this day. All right. So, have you ever watched some of the older Tom and Jerry's and
the real early ones? Yeah.
And listened to the music?
Probably, but not that I can conjure now.
It's Mozart. It's Bach. It's all the classic musics. Mm-hmm. And Tom and Jerry won 7 Oscars.
So now I have a question for you.
Yes.
Coming back to a previous comment we had. What was Congress's problem? That's classical music on a Saturday morning. Those meddling fools.
Well, they were saying there was too much violence.
Hold on. According to Emily Latella, what is the problem with violins on television?
Violence.
Carry on.
Very, very, very close.
Thank you.
All right, sticking with Tom and Jerry, and this is probably the person in cartoons I appreciate the most. Chuck Jones.
Yeah. Okay.
Chuck Jones, the creator of Wile E. Coyote. Yeah. All right, and the Roadrunner. he was doing a parody of Tom and Jerry and their chase scenes.
Okay.
And that's how Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner came to be. Now, most people don't understand this. And I say this a lot. The reason I appreciate Wile E. Coyote so much, do you realize he did all his own stunts?
You know how many times he got hit on the head with an anvil?
Oh. Here's the thing Chuck Jones did that no one realizes, except for maybe Bezos knows. Chuck Jones was the original Amazon.
Absolutely.
How quickly did the Coyote get all his Acme stuff there?
Baby. Acme, yep.
Chuck Jones, Bezos should be sending money to Chuck Jones's family.
Okay, now let me just loop back for just 1 second to word origins.
Go.
How many times did poor Wile E. Coyote get hoisted on his own petard and blow his own ass up?
Yeah, so many petard. Hoist on your own petard. I've never used that term. I will be using that term.
Please do.
All right. So cartoons growing up. What was your go-to cartoon growing up? It's like Saturday morning. What was your go-to cartoon?
I think I was more into the Three Stooges on Saturday mornings, honestly.
Yeah. Our Gang, Three Stooges.
Spanking Our Gang, absolutely. You know, you want to hear a scary, scary story?
Yeah.
A friend of mine and I actually tried out. They were doing a revival of Our Gang, the Our Gang Comics, and a friend of mine and I went into New York City because his mother's, he had triplet sisters, and they had been in TV commercials. So my friend Ira Ruderman and I went into Manhattan and auditioned, and oh my God, you can. First of all, I would have been a fabulous Spanky if I had any type of that talent. But he and I sang "If I Had a Hammer," as a matter of fact, in a duet on stage, and we were god awful,
just horrible. How old were you at the time?
10, 12.
Oh wow! So you were a little almost too old for Our Gang.
Yeah, I mean, well, how old are you in third grade?
Probably 8.
So we might have been 9 or 10. Yeah, it might have been 9 or 10.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're third grade. You're probably 10. When I was in third grade, I was 8.
Huh?
Third grade was rough. I wasn't sure which one of the years you were talking about in third grade.
No. I only did it twice. Yeah, only twice, man. And that was because my teacher was Miss Koch, and Gary, your paper will be on time. We're talking your tangents.
Yeah.
My third grade teacher was a lovely young woman named Nina Koch, and she was delightful. She was, a young teacher in third grade, and years later, when I had my paper route, I would deliver papers to her family. Many, many, many years later, I met the people that were living in her house, which was her sister Mary and her husband Gary Krupp, a very, very wonderful person who is still working as hard as he can to bring peace in the Middle East. God bless you, Gary, and keep going, baby. But man, I would see my friend Gary, and all he could say was, "Is the paper going to be on time today?" Gary, I haven't delivered paper there in 30 years.
Paper going to be on time today?
Right, exactly.
It's going to be on time, Gary.
But Gary does great things. But yeah, so...
So were you more of a Bugs Bunny guy?
Yes.
Or were you a Mickey Mouse guy?
No, definitely Bugs Bunny. Definitely Bugs Bunny. Not even the Mickey Mouse Club. A little smatterings are there. I think my TV viewings and my habits, I don't know if I'm generationally stunted or where it is, because I never watched a lot of Sesame Street. I never watched the entertainment, the educational stuff after that, like the Electric Company or anything like that. I was Three Stooges. I was Our Gang. I was Laurel and Hardy. I don't know.
Abbott Costello.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Saturday morning movies with Abbott and Costello. One of my favorite movies to this day is The Time of Their Lives. Underappreciated Abbott and Costello movie, which is historically brilliant about them. But Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, Bugs.
If he was in there, you think I'd throw a match in there, Clancy?
See, Bugs' interaction with Elmer, to me, and Daffy, rabbit season, duck season, has to be one of the most classic cartoons of all time.
And correct me if I'm right, if I'm not. Was Bugs Bunny one of the first people to break the fourth wall and talk to the audience?
Oh, I think he was.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny would look at the
I've never thought of it until this moment.
Yeah, right, exactly. He would talk to what? Yeah.
Yeah, should have taken a left at Albuquerque.
Yep. Yeah, he would talk to the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, and like his baseball with the teetotalers against the gas house gorillas or whatever. Yeah. I mean, that one really just stands out with me of all time.
Yeah.
One of the things I was doing when I was doing this research, we talked about the Flintstones. The Flintstones were originally a prime time. They weren't a Saturday morning. They were a prime time thing, and they were sponsored by Winston cigarettes. So if you Google the Flintstones and Winston cigarettes, you'll see Fred and Barney taking a smoke break.
Really?
Because that was one of their original sponsors.
Yeah, sure.
And it was kind of supposed to be a takeoff of the Honeymooners. And Jackie Gleason actually started to sue the Flintstones, and then he was afraid of the backlash he would get if he won and they had to take the Flintstones off.
So I'm pretty sure Jackie Gleason was a heavy smoker.
Oh, he was a heavy smoker.
Heavy smoker, right? Yeah.
Heavy smoker. Yeah. And one of the coolest things I read is there's a city called Bedrock, Colorado. Bedrock, Colorado has had so much fan mail sent to Bedrock, Colorado for the Flintstones that they have a rejection stamp that they send back, return to sender, with a fictitious Flintstone character on their stamp. They still are doing it today. Like if you send something to Bedrock, they'll send the letter back to you with like Fred or Wilma or Pebbles or Bam Bam.
You know, I'm taking one of my forever stamps. I'm putting a letter out there and sending it to Bedrock, Colorado, dear Fred Flintstone.
Just to see if it happens. So, okay. One of the other things we talked a little bit about Mickey Mouse, and we talked about like I wasn't a huge Mickey Mouse. I love Donald Duck.
Right.
All right, but Walt Disney hated the character Goofy.
Okay.
All right.
How do you feel about Pluto?
He personally hated the character Goofy, and he found his cartoons to be stupid.
Well, he was goofy.
He was goofy. It was supposed to be stupid. The only reason he didn't axe the character is that it gave work to so many of the animators.
Big studios. Big studios. Yeah. A lot of people.
So he didn't want to lay people off. If he'd have canned Goofy, he would have probably laid off 50 to 100 people. That's the only reason Goofy is still a part of Disney.
And that's something that, you know, and this is an interesting question with the with AI and things of that nature. You know, when you see animation, even today to do animation, and I don't understand necessarily with computers how it's made it easier, but you used to see animation studios and you would see phalanxes, you would see rows and columns of desks with people there all doing individual panels, individual cells. There were a lot of people to make one cartoon. It's like, remember Flash books when we were a kid when you would flip? That's what animation is, except for the fact it's on cells and they do it much fancier.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of people drawing a lot of individual pictures.
To do like little stick figures, like running and jumping over stuff and doing that.
And I had a Tom and Jerry, couple of Tom and Jerry flip books too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a little older than my time.
Well, I'm a little older than you.
Yeah. So, all right, one of the other Disney facts that I found out that I thought was really cool, and I don't know if you knew this at all, the artist Salvador Dali.
Okay.
He actually made a cartoon for Walt Disney.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't find a picture of it. I didn't have time, and I got to figure out how to find that. But Salvador Dali made a cartoon.
Wow. Okay.
For Walt Disney. All right. I talked about this right before the show. All right. Superman, one of the most famous comic books. You know, been
TV
redone.
Shows,
There's TV shows, movies.
Still one of the most valuable single comic books in existence.
Super successful. All right. The original Superman was incapable of flying in the 1940s. All right?
I learned that today from you.
And if you think about it, it says, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound.
But now let me ask you a question. Did that come from the comic book or did that come from the TV show's introduction?
It came from...
Because I know it's in the TV show's introduction.
Yeah, it came, I believe, from the comic book.
Would make sense.
And transferred over.
Okay.
And then the animators of Superman's first cartoon, when they first did the cartoon, the motion of the cartoon, they thought it looked silly. So him leaping. So they thought it looked silly. So they requested permission to give him the ability to fly. Okay. And that's how Superman got flight.
Excuse me. Can we make this guy fly? Is that okay with you? Can we get this guy to fly?
This just looks dumb. He's supposed to be the baddest ass in the entire world, and we got him jumping.
Well, they did have him in a little tight, Speedo over his tights.
Yeah. That was a little awkward.
Yeah, you think?
All right. One of the more classic ones out there, and we're coming up on our time. Betty Boop.
Be still my foolish heart.
Betty Boop. Everyone had a crush on Betty Boop.
I think at home in my stationery box, I have a package of Betty Boop note cards.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Betty Boop, the cartoon character Betty Boop, she was subject to a lawsuit.
Really? By
a popular singer, Helen Kane, who claimed her singing style had been ripped off. She said that Betty Boop stole her singing style. In the court case, it was proven that Kane herself had stolen the style from an African-American singer, Baby Esther. So in the lawsuit, she got called out. So obviously she lost the lawsuit against Betty Boop.
Right. Was it the breathy style or...
Because it was the more seductive
because all I'm thinking of is Marilyn Monroe singing Happy Birthday, Mr. President to John Kennedy.
That was well after, Betty.
No, I know, but that's how I'm envisioning or hearing the sound. Yeah.
It was that seductive style of singing. So, we haven't talked about a cartoon that probably most people my age associate with Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay, youngster, go ahead.
Scooby-Doo.
Ooh, where are you?
Scooby-Doo. And
I used to watch Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo was only on, and a lot of people think it was on forever, but it only ran for like 6 years.
And one day I'll remember the last names of those damn kids.
Yes. In case you want to know. Okay, and this, I'll turn everything over. The nerd that I am.
Oh, you've got this. Come on, you've been challenging us this for months.
All right. So, Freddy's last name?
I got Rogers for Scooby and Shaggy.
Norville, yeah. Shaggy Rogers, right. Norville. All right.
Correct.
So, Freddy's character was Freddie Jones.
Okay.
All right. The person who...
Write that down, dear.
First person who was the voice of Freddie Jones was a gentleman by the name of Frank Welker.
Okay.
All right. He's voiced his name for every single Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Really?
They've remade them so many different times, and a lot of them have changed.
But he stayed as Frank or as Freddie.
As Freddie Jones.
Well, talk about residuals. Good for him.
All right, Daphne's last name.
We didn't get the points on that one.
Blake, would you like to say what Daphne's last name is?
Blake.
Exactly.
Daphne Blake?
Yep.
Oh, wait a second.
Velma.
I was thinking Velma. We got Velma wrong. Daphne Blake. Okay, thank you, Blake.
Yeah.
If they ever ask that question and you're not there, I'm going to be very upset because I'm going to be looking at you.
All right, Velma.
Yeah, we got this one wrong.
Dinkley.
So much easier than what we put, which was like for Verklempt.
And then Shaggy, I believe his real name is Norville.
Right.
His nickname is Shaggy. You know what his character was modeled after?
Dobie Gillis.
Maynard
G. Krebs. Right, Maynard G. Krebs.
The characters of Scooby-Doo came from the loves of Dobie Gillis.
Okay.
And Maynard G. Krebs was Shaggy.
I like that. I can see that.
Was Shaggy. Yeah. What was Shaggy's voice? First person to do Shaggy's voice in the original run.
I would say Bob Denver just for the connection, but I don't know that that's accurate.
Casey Kasem.
Whoa! Here with America's Top 40 today.
Casey Kasem was Shaggy.
See, now Casey Kasem I listen to.
Yeah.
America's Top 40, which, by the way, from time to time I'll be flipping channels and he's still doing America's Top 40, which is very frightening because he's been dead for a long time. He's been gone a
little bit.
Yeah.
He's been gone a little bit. All right. So we just stuck with cartoons. So
learned so much stuff today.
So, I mean, I love the Family Guy.
Oops, I almost accidentally clicked the show to end early, but we're back on. We're good.
What happened?
I accidentally clicked on. Okay, so basically, so people can't see at home, but normally it's supposed to be like a scroll bar here to easily get me to the end show. I can't, so I just have to click on.
So you cut off our show. Are we on air right now?
Yes, we're on there right now.
Well, you know what? We're going to say goodbye.
Hi, folks.
And we're going to ask you guys to hit the share button.
Tell your friends.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm going to go back. I love the comments. We had a lot of comments going on in there. A lot of cartoons that were getting thrown at us and comic strips thrown at us.
And if you can't watch us live, YouTube, the 904 Now app, which is great because it'll bring you into a bunch of other really wonderful programs that are a lot of fun and really timely for where we live. But I would recommend that because you can watch it at your leisure. And, we do it at our leisure. This is as hard work as I do.
Yeah, we love to do this. We appreciate it. Help our sponsors out. Hit that share button because the more people we get this out to, the better off it is for them.
Tell them Bollox sent you.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.